So this is video number 2 for 4.3 rates of change, constant rates of change. All right, so now how is everything related? So it costs $150 to join a local gym plus $50 per month. If C is the total cost in dollars and T is time in months, then the cost formula for this relation would be 50T plus 150. Okay, so we've got the 150 here that you have to pay, and then it's $50 per month after that. So for example, if you have just joined, so it's right at the very beginning, then you've got to pay the $150. So you haven't been a member for this place, except just right now, you just signed up. So you have to pay the $150 to join the gym. Now, if you are going to be there for 4 months, then you've got to do the $150 plus, it's $50 per month after that, so plus 50 times 4. So that would be 150 plus 50 times 4 is 200. And so that's going to be $350. So you see that number right there is $350. And if you're going to join for 8 months, again, you've got to pay the $150 at the very beginning, plus you've got to pay $50 times 8 months. And so that's 150 plus 400, which would be $550. Okay? All right, so we can see that on the right-hand side, here I just need to erase these arrows here. On the right column, in the right column, these are going up by 4s. And, sorry, that's the left column. And on the right column, these are going up by 200. So then, if we're going to do the constant rate of change, the croc, that equals the right side, which is 200, divided by the left side. So this is, again, this is like your delta y, your change in your dependent variable. This is your delta x, your change in your independent variable. And so it's delta y over delta x. And so that's 200 divided by 4, which equals 50. Well, where did that $50 come from in the first place? Well, of course, that $50 is the change in the cost every month. It's $50 a month. So there's your $50. Okay? All right. Now, for the graph, 0 and 1 and 150. So that would be that's 0 and 150 is right there. Yeah. Okay. For 4 months, it's costing $350 is right there. For 8 months, it's costing $550, which is right there. And then for 12 months, it's costing $750, which would be right there. So there's all the points. They've made a straight line. Now, something else that's really important to see, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this in the next video, in the next lesson, but notice this graph on the vertical axis, so on this axis, this graph is at the $150. So this number here tells you what your rate of change is in the graph. That's your 50. This number here, that's your starting value. So this is the starting value. We also sometimes call that the initial value. And then this number here, that's your croc. And notice your croc gets multiplied by your variable. So our horizontal axis here, this is time in months, so this is T. And then our vertical axis here, this is total cost, that's C. So we start at the 150 and then we go up by, if we look at every month, so here's 1 month, that's going up by another $50. So in 1 month, we go up by 50. In another month, we go up by another 50. In another month, we go up by another 50. In another month, we go up by another 50. So every month, the graph is going up by $50, and that makes sense because the cost goes up by $50 per month. So the angle that the graph takes tells us what the rate of change is. Okay, so now the question is, how do we figure out what the constant rate of change is just by looking at the graph? Well, we can pick any 2 points on the graph. Any 2 points. It could be the first point and the second point. It could be the first point and the fifth point. It could be the second point and the fourth point. You can pick any 2 points on your graph. Now, if you remember from before, let's go back here. There was a part where it said rise over run right here. I'll do that in a different color. Rise over run. I said I'd talk about that later. Well, I'm talking about that now. So on a graph, you pick 2 points and you figure out what the rise is, so what the vertical distance is, excuse me, and you figure out what the run is, or the horizontal distance, and that will tell you what the constant rate of change is. So back down here, we know that our constant rate of change has to be 50, so I'm just going to pick any 2 random points here. So I'm going to pick this point and so the second point that I have drawn here and the fourth point, and I'm going to do the rise over the run. Okay, so how far did they go up? That's your rise. This is your rise. And how far did they go over? This is your run. So for these 2 points, this is at 350. This one is at 750. So to get the rise, we have to take 750 and subtract 350, and that equals 400. So this went up from 350 up to 750, so that was a difference of 400. For the run, this ended up over here at 12, but it started here at 4. So we subtract those 2 numbers, and that'll get us the difference between those 2, or how much it went to the right. So it started at 4, but it went over to 12, so that was a difference of 8. So the constant rate of change is the rise over run, which equals 400 over 8, which equals 50. We already knew that was the answer that we needed because we knew that the constant rate of change was 50 already. But I'm just showing you how it works in this graph so that you can find it on any graph. So let's take a look at this example, these 2 examples down here. So I'm going to pick any 2 points that I know are on the graph. So you want to pick a point that's on like where where the grid actually meets, not something in between. Generally, the first point is a really good one to choose. So there's that one. And now any other point along the line, I'm going to choose one that's easy to read. I'm going to choose this one right here. Any 2 points is good. So we're going to do rise over run. Draw the triangle. Okay, so the rise, we're going from 200 up to 400. That's a rise of 200. And the run, we're going from 0 over to 4. That's the run of 4. So that means that the constant rate of change in this graph is 200 over 4, which also happens to be 50. So when I look at this graph, I see that this is the cost for a Christmas banquet. We're talking about the number of people versus the total cost. So when nobody shows up, that's $200. So basically that is your initial fee. That's the starting fee. And then it goes up by $200 every 4 people, or the crock, it's going up by $50 per person. So the crock in this one, the $200, the 200 is in dollars, the 4 is in people, so that means it's going up by $50 per person. Okay, so the crock has units in these problems, and it's a rate. It's not just $50, it's $50 per person. Okay, so now the next one. This is Fred's bank account. If we take a look at this graph, okay, every 4 squares is 100. That means every 2 squares, that would be another 50. So that's 150. 250, 350, so this is going to be 450 right here. So that tells me that Fred's bank account starts at $450. And if we do the constant rate of change, pick any 2 points. I'm going to pick that one right there. Okay, so this went from 450 down to 325. So 450 minus 325, that equals $125. So the rise, so the crock, which equals the rise over the run, is minus, it went down $125. So that's dollars. And it did that in 5 weeks, which equals going down $25 per week. Okay, so, and even if we take a look at what the equation is, we're going to do this a little bit more in the next unit, or in the next lesson, but you could work on this. So here, the total cost, it started out at $200, and then we added $50 per person. So you just got to figure out what variable do you want to use for people. I'm going to use n for number of people, so 200 plus 50n. On the second graph, we're talking about the amount of money. So the amount of money, it starts out at $450, but we're taking off $25 every week. Use W for weeks, A for amount of money. This is N and C. Okay, that's it for that video. I'd like you to finish the rest of this worksheet. Follow the same examples. If you've got to rewatch this video, go ahead and rewatch it. And if you have any questions, by all means, send me a message.